It's time to know what's on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers. Public affairs analyst Sijibomi Adebiyi-Benet and political technocrat Dr. Dayo Kayode are here in the studio to look through the papers with me this morning. Gentlemen, morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Yeah, good morning. You see, let me first of all eulogize the Nigerian armed forces. I mean, I'm talking at the background of what happened in Afghanistan. Yeah. Despite everything that Americans have done to them, look at the way they fell like pack of cards. Right. But our Nigerian army still stood there defending the territorial integrity of Nigeria. I think Nigerians need to start appreciating them.
Absolutely. You know. We agree with you. Thank you so much for that. But let's head straight to the papers now. And I begin with the Vanguard. Strike. Why we refuse to sign MOU. Doctors says government punishing doctors for its failures. Insists a strike continues until all demands are met by government. Federal government will commence implementation of MOU today. To the Punch newspaper, government 4.8 billion naira pledge. Federal government can't be trusted, says NARD. That's the National Association of Resident Doctors speaking. And we negotiated with NMA, National Medical Association. Minister insists we can't go back to our members with empty promises. Pay first, NARD. We didn't hold talks with you. Your matter is in court, Ngige tells doctors. All right. To the Daily Trust now, doctors in mass exodus amidst NARD strike. Less than 40,000 doctors serving 200 million Nigerians. My facility is stripped of personnel, CMD cries out. Federal government should develop emergency intervention, NMA. Act fast, experts urge government, others. To the Daily Sun now, grazing route or Tom blows hot. Plans to sue Buhari. Group drags president, others to court over failure to investigate missing 106 billion naira in 149 MDAs. To the Guardian newspaper, or Tom Ohaneze Falano kick over unknown grazing routes. Benue governor threatens legal action against Buhari. Ranching, federal government should allocate 6.25 billion naira to other states. Falana. Yoruba Group's analysts say federal government's move an invitation to war anarchy. All right, you find details of all of that story on The Guardian. To the Leadership newspaper now, 7 weeks after 65 Bethel Baptist students still in captivity as 15 regain freedom. To the Blueprint now, just Muslims to Christians will protect churches in our domain. You find details on the pages of the Blueprint. To this Nigeria newspaper now, Petroleum Industry Act, oil of the matter. Unending feud over new law. Stakeholders, Niger Delta groups allege marginalization. Its attempt to revamp economy. All right, you find details of that story on the pages of this Nigerian newspaper. To the Business Day, Nigeria wants businesses registered in hours, yet it takes months. All right, to the First newspaper now, missing 106 billion naira, Serap sues Buhari. Others wants explanation on how sums disappeared in 149 MDAs. To the Nigerian News Direct, ease of doing business. State revenue agencies engage thugs for multiple levies collection as APBN members protest multiple taxes in Delta. Government must exercise caution in overtaxing masses, expert. To the national economy now, how federal government, private sector's partnership revived local fertilizer blending plants. To the Business AM, silence overshadows inconclusive insurance industry recapitalization. Uncertainty rocks insurance market. NIACOM caught in political web. And to the Nation newspaper, AMCON gives court undertaking on NIACOM, records of court proceedings. All right, that's all. But then let's look at this story on the front page of this Nigerian newspaper, talking about the Petroleum Industry Act that was signed into law, accepted too by the president, and that has generated a lot of reaction, especially from the southern governors who are rejecting the 30% set aside for prospection oil frontier basing. Prospecting oil frontier basing, I beg your pardon, and then the issue of allocation, 3% allocation, which has also come under huge criticism by a lot of the southern governors. But then let's begin with your reaction to this development, how this will turn around the industry, Dr. Dayo Kayode.
How it will turn around the industry?
The petroleum industry?
Or how it will further denigrate the people that have been endowed with that particular resource.
How?
Now, look at it. We're talking about series of insurgent activities that have been happening in the southern Nigeria since all these days. While talking about environmental degradation, while talking about gas flaring, while talking about...
Those have been on for years.
Do you understand? That PIB, is it not supposed to address it? With that 3%, will he address it? These are the owners, these are people that have been endowed with a particular
How much
resource.
would have been enough to address it?
We cannot say this is how much will have been enough, because, for instance, they have even been talking about resource control.
Right.
So why would they not be talking about resource control? Look at even that 10%. The other 10% that they say will be given out based on the gas flaring and all that. It will also reside within the federal government. How are you now going to disburse that again to that area? So it is an issue that is so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. If what I read in the news over the weekend is true, then you will see what will happen in this country. But I'm just waiting for the House to reconvene, because they are saying by the time the House reconvenes, they are going to open that can of worms that happened while they were even decide to wait. I mean, to pass that law in a hurry.
Why did they have to wait? There was a debate between either 5% or 3%, and the majority of that
for how many days?
For 3%.
I think we can see the way the hush that debate went through. We all saw it. I mean, the whole thing was in the public
representatives who could have spoken.
But could you see when they were talking how they were being held down by the leadership of both houses? How they were being held down by the leadership of both houses? And that time I say, yes, there must be an alibi here.
Meaning?
That is to say, the small fly that was dancing on top of water, something was drumming underneath the water. And again, the thing is now coming out. Let them resume. And then those people that have said that they are going to open that can of worm, I want them to open it. Because, I mean, how can you say 3% for the owners that have been talking of even resource control? So where would there be peace? I was thinking that they will use it to even ensure that there is peace in the southern part of Nigeria. But now, look at what is happening as regards the PIB now.
Let's get Sijibomi's perspective to this. I wonder if he's on the same side of the fence with Dr. Dayo Kayode. I'm
going to take it from another perspective.
Right.
It's highly, highly unfortunate that we're still talking about crude oil production and the rest of it. Everything that has to do with crude oil exploration and exploitation. Because the world is moving on and leaving us behind. The first 10 best places to live in the world in terms of countries, I wonder which one of them has crude oil. Everybody has moved on. I did geology first degree, and I think by virtue of research, even if I'm not practicing, oil is supposed to be done with by year 2035. So that's why everybody is looking for more deposits. People have moved on. In terms of this thing we're talking about, 3%, 5%, it was highly unfortunate that we couldn't give 5%. But you know, sometimes I also thought that the government or the Senate was very, very unreasonable. But the politics that goes on within the health sector, if you try to, pry a bit, you understand. Even without this 3% or 5%, Do you know that the Minister for Niger Delta just said the oil majors are owing $4 billion? People will not invest in your country when they can go to other places. Afghanistan is now under Taliban. Iraq is there. So many other countries are there. And they can find it cheaper. And they can even do under-the-table contracts.
Absolutely.
So if you do, it's a good way that the minority leader, I love the path the minority leader of the House of Rep is taking. He talked at the conference in the US. He's talking about amendment. Let's start from somewhere. This bill has been on for how many years?
For years.
I think since I left teenage years.
But
so what we're saying is, it's not Petroleum Industry Act. We have gotten something. Let's start from there. Then there is another thing that I think the polity has not gotten right.
Quickly.
3% and 30% are not the same. 3% of the oil majors operation profit is different from 30% of NNPC profit,
right?
Which is for frontier basins. So it's a far distance. Yeah.
All right.
Yes, you see, whatever perspective anybody is looking at it, for me, for giving those people 3%, it is an insult. It has to be more than that. Even though we should also not forget that all these politicians, they have not been faithful to the people. No doubt about that. Because even if you look at it, aside from the 3% we're talking about, there are still some other agencies there.
Which you mentioned earlier.
Of which we have been having series of allocations to all of them. What have they used?
Have they utilized
what
it?
What have they used that money for? We have been hearing a lot of stealings. I don't want to call it corruption. Let us call a spade a spade. It's stealing.
We know it as
not
corruption.
Than stealing. We have been seeing series of stealings. Billions. There was one.
We have to be careful with the choice of word. Let's use the word corruption.
They had been alleged stealings. Do you know stealings? Alleged stealings.
Right.
In so many of them. There was one that was detected in the UK of recent, whereby almost 4 trillion naira was found in somebody's account, not to talk of billions of dollars. We all see what they are using all this money for. You understand? To be able to promote their profligatic activities. People are saying it, no doubt about it. But we should also show some kind of truthfulness in whatever we do. If the National Assembly had wanted to be truthful to Nigerians, especially where those golden eggs are being laid, they wouldn't have said they're giving them 3%. No, 3% for me is small. Why not give them what they needed? Incidentally, he was also asking me that, look, how about their leaders? That some of their leaders are in the National Assembly. Yes, some of them spoke out. Some of them spoke out against it, while some did not. But then also, I also told you that by the time they come back from this recession, some people had promised to spill the beans as regards what's happened.
Think they will do that?
Sure. Because they have started talking.
Anyway,
so many of them have started talking.
They are talking, but let's see what happens when they return.
Exactly.
Anyway, Sijibomi, you talked about investors earlier, the message. I want you to harp on that. What, now that this has been signed into law, what message does it send to investors, potential investors?
It's just the foundation. It's just the part one of it. Any reasonable investor will check and look at where we're going. Look at implementation first in terms of what the people that are on ground, what they stand to benefit before new entrants come into the industry. Now, if I'm an investor, yes, it's been signed. So many laws, so many bills have been passed in Nigeria, have been signed in Nigeria. So I want to see the implementation first. So it's just that the first 6 months of it is we're not going to see so much because there's still partial subsidy, partial deregulation because of the concentration for the masses. This government knows that if you try to increase petrol at this time, you will lose the last bit of credibility you have, and people will take to the streets. So that's why they've said in the next 6 months, yes. Yeah. And because of that, the implementation of the PIA cannot be fully done because the government still has to cushion the effect of anything that's happening there in terms of pricing.
Subsidizing.
Yes. So, but I see a bit of, let's say 60–70% implementation from next year. Let Dangote start what is starting. Let the people that have come to
calm down
to invest in the NMPC refineries also start. That is the way because I believe in institutions. This government will go, either they like it or not. So all these bills have been signed. So what do? You leverage on it. Even Goodluck Jonathan's government that did the TSA, that did the BVN, did not implement, but those laws were passed.
Right.
So this government didn't have a choice than to implement. So that's the way it goes.
Two things I want to put across here. One,
quickly,
the issue of subsidy. Are we saying there is subsidy? But have you forgotten that this government said subsidy there was no fraud initially? Do you understand? So for them now saying there is subsidy, what do we now call it? Do we still call it fraud or something else?
He said that government is
do you understand?
Going to
so that issue of subsidy, it is an act of insincerity on the people of Nigerians. I mean on the people of Nigeria. All right. Then talking about Dangote too, Dangote refinery. I don't know whether you read about what is happening now as regards AMCOM, as regards a lot of debt that is also there, and banks calling back for their money.
All right.
Do you understand? So there are a lot of things going on that we need to really bring out for the people to see, which government needs to tackle immediately instead of putting unnecessary burden on the people.
All right, let's leave the conversation here, gentlemen. Sijibomi, Adebiyi-Benet, and Dr. Dayo Kayode, thank you so much for your time on the newspaper review.
Thanks for